Basketball Prodigy.
Hey YouTube, it's Basketball Prodigy, and today I'm about to tell you 3 reasons why Chris Paul is the greatest PG of all time. Really, people are just probably reading the title like, are you serious? Like, no one is touching Magic Johnson. Like, he has 5 rings. And yeah, I know that's true, but I actually have proof. I've been, researching for a while now that Chris Paul is actually a better basketball player than Magic Johnson. And yeah, I want to state that this is my opinion, and in this video, I hope it convinces you that Chris Paul is actually the best PG of all time, which it probably will. If it don't, oh well, that's a you problem. And yeah, I'm about to get into the video in a minute, and I also want to say that I actually did a poll before I started making this video about who was better, Chris Paul or Magic Johnson, and Magic Johnson won the poll by like a lot. It got about 800 votes, I think, and like 92% of them went to Magic Johnson. But yeah, I'm about to get into the video right now. Stay tuned. I'm telling you, you don't want to miss this. This is Basketball Prodigy. Enjoy the video. CP3 is an elite scorer. His averages don't say much, but he is capable of putting up 30 plus points in a heartbeat. Magic does slightly have a higher FG percentage with 52%. CP3's is still excellent though at 47%, but what makes CP3 a better scorer is the all-around scoring ability that he has. Magic wasn't a great shooter at all. Chris Paul shoots a career 50% on mid-range shots, 61% underneath the basket, and 37% from deep. And CP3 has a better free throw percentage. CP3 is more efficient at the line from mid-range and from 3. Magic is just efficient on close shots. They both attempt to make roughly the same amount of shots, but 95% of Magic's points are from 2-pointers. Also, he only averages 0.4 3-point makes for a career. Magic Johnson only gets his points from the line or on close shots. All around scoring, CP3 is better. Many will disagree with me, but CP3 is absolutely a better passer than Magic Johnson. Even though Magic Johnson did average 11.2 assists per game in a career, but thing is, he averaged nearly 4 turnovers, which is a 2.8 assist to turnover ratio, and he only had a 40.9 assist percentage. Not only Chris Paul is a better passer, but he is also a better floor general. Chris Paul is second all-time in assist percentage and is first all-time in offensive rating. For those that don't know what an offensive rating is an estimate of how many points you produce or how many points you scored per 100 possessions. I also want to point out that Chris Paul has a way lower turnover percentage than Magic Johnson. Chris Paul also has way more offensive win shares than Magic Johnson. With that being said, CP3 is just the better floor general. CP3 has a better assist percentage, assist to turnover ratio, and just basically better passing stats than Magic Johnson. Last but not least, defense. I'm not really going to stay on this topic for a long time because it's pretty obvious that Chris Paul is the better defender. Chris Paul year after year makes the all-defensive team at the point guard spot because he's just simply that talented and skilled at defense, on ball and off ball. So looking at these stats, defensive win shares, Chris Paul by the time he retires, actually, scratch that, Chris Paul will actually pass Magic Johnson in defensive win shares next season. The only reason Magic Johnson is ahead of him right now is because he has a season on him, one more season on him. So yeah, that's the reason why Magic Johnson has 5 more defensive win shares on him. But Chris Paul not only averages more steals per game, but also has a better defensive rating. And the reason the defensive rating is the same is because it was really close, but Chris Paul's defensive rating is actually better. So yeah, and Chris Paul has a better steals percentage than Magic Johnson. Chris Paul has been on 9 all defensive teams, and Magic Johnson has been on 0. I really don't have to keep talking about the defensive prowess of Chris Paul versus Magic Johnson. It's quite obvious. That's all I have to say in today's video. I hope I have convinced you that Chris Paul is better than Magic Johnson, and Chris Paul is the greatest point guard of all time. Now, the reason I did this debate is because that I feel that Chris Paul doesn't get enough respect in this current generation of NBA fans. I just feel like he's just overlooked now. I feel like people don't really care about him. You know, Steph Curry, Kyrie Irving is more the scorers now. But Chris Paul is still a point guy, and we have to respect what he has done for the game. I feel like there's no player that's really smarter than him. I think he's the smartest basketball IQ-wise, like the smartest basketball player of all time too. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe. This is Basketball Prodigy, and I'm out. Nacho.